This is really late. I know, I'm so sorry. I could write you an entire list of excuses, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna start the video. What's up guys, it's SheNoob. And it's been ages since I've been in front of this camera, and I know I promised you guys a soundtrack review like a couple months ago. I'm sorry it took me so long. The last few weeks of the semester for university were absolutely crazy. I didn't have time to do any YouTube stuff at all, and since then I've just needed a break. I've had my break now, and here I am, ready to film this video for you. 4 pages of notes. Let's do this. Welcome to my RWBY Volume 3 soundtrack review. I've never reviewed a soundtrack before, so I'm just gonna wing it and see how we go. But I have lots to say about the tracks on this album, so strap yourselves in because this might take a while. Also, before I get loads of comments, yes, I am wearing a RWBY chibi shirt. So it's been a few months since RWBY Volume 3 ended, and it's been a little while since the soundtrack came out, and I've had a lot of time to listen to it over and over and over and over again. So let's start with the theme for Volume 3, When It Falls. So I really like the full version a lot better than the short version that's on the intro. The piano bit at the beginning still feels a little bit weird. I feel like it would feel less weird if it was included elsewhere in the track or if it was a bit longer. But I get that they wanted to start it with that little piano bit and then go blah with the rock bit. I don't know why I went blah like that. I'm in a bit of a strange mood. I think I've forgotten how to make videos. The biggest thing that I noticed about the full version is that they changed the harmonies for the pillars collapse bit again. You may all notice that the pillars collapse bit had gone through a few transitions as we've heard the different versions. Originally when they released the intro before the volume started. Then when we heard it at the end of chapter 1 it was different. And now in the full version it's different again, and I think it's much better now actually. It's always felt a little, but they seem to have cleaned it up. The solo in this song is rocking as always. Jeff Williams knows how to write an awesome solo. And I really particularly like the bridge of When It Falls. I love the way it quotes Cinder a lot in the bridge, and also how it points out about Ironwood and Ozpin and the other leaders of the world that things aren't always what they seem with them. That they're only going to be allies until everything goes wrong and then they're just going to turn on each other. Anyway, all in all, really awesome full version of that song. Really like it. The second track on the album is I'm the One, which we first heard in... Oof, I've forgotten the chapter. Chapter 4, during the fight between Emerald and Mercury and Coco and Yatsuhashi. My favourite thing about this track is actually the lyrics. So this song tells you a lot about Emerald and Mercury, and it seems to be sung from their perspective, cutting between Jeff and Casey, which I really like it when the two of them sing together. I think they really complement each other and it's really cute. Although the quip I have with the lyrics is that they are really hard to understand. When I first listened to the full version of this song, I had no idea what they were singing about because I couldn't understand any of the lyrics. And then I looked the lyrics up and I was like, really? That's what they're saying? Some of the rock songs that they've done for RWBY over the years, I've had this problem recurringly where I can't understand what they're singing about. My favourite lines in the song include, your girlfriend's purse won't help you win this duel, and the humiliation is real. I also really like the last lines of both of the choruses, which refer to Emerald's semblance. I will steal till you're blind and defeat you from inside your mind, and they will conquer your mind and will make you fulfill my design. Those are really well written lines, and I really like the way it really gets into the idea of Emerald controlling people's minds, because I'm a sadist and I like that kind of stuff. I'm really glad that the bridge is a part of the full version, and by the bridge I mean that sort of instrumental bit that in the chapter happens right before all the geysers blow up. But I'm a little bit sad that they took Casey's high part out of the pre-chorus, which now is just Jeff and the background singing. Because now I can't sing it. It's too low for me. Next track is It's My Turn, and oh my god, I love this song. So Jeff said on a panel that he doesn't really like to pin certain songs to certain characters, but sometimes he will write something with a certain character in mind. In this case, It's My Turn is about Weiss's relationship with her father. I feel like it's a song that a lot of people can really relate to. I mean, who hasn't felt the way Weiss feels when it comes to her father about somebody in their lives? It's all about her escaping her home and heading off to Beacon and never wanting to go back, but in the end she's forced to. There seems to be a lot of daddy issues on this album this year. I really like the slower start that was added in at the beginning, but the ending just kind of ends. It feels a little abrupt. Still, awesome song, love it. Next is Not Fall in Love with You. Now this is quite obviously a Black Sun song. It's Sun singing about Blake, and it's so cute. I just can't not bop my head to this song. I love the piano track in it, and it's really nice to have some happy, upbeat, cheery songs to contrast things like When It Falls and I'm the One and Divide and Cold. Next up is Neon. Now, this version is actually different from the jazzy version that is in Chapter 5. This is more of a techno-y sort of dance full version of the song, whereas the one that's in the chapter was made a little bit more jazzy to fit in with the rest of it. I absolutely love this song. This one and It's My Turn are my favorites. It's techno, pop, and jazz at the same time, and I never thought I would put those three together, but it is so awesome. I love that it's basically an entire song about a faunus based on Neon Cat poking fun at Yang for being a sourpuss. My favourite line might be, "You need a diva review." Yang is gorgeous and she's not even fat, so the whole thing is ridiculous, but it was just Neon trying to rile her up. Next track on the album is Mirror Mirror Part 2. This song was completely not what I expected, but I love what they did with it. It gives us a little bit more backstory on Weiss, and it's almost like this second part is her talking back to the mirror. Again, this is another really relatable song that's based on Weiss. Everyone has had times in their life where they don't believe in themselves and they feel like they can't do anything. When I first heard this song, there was a line that got to me the most. I know that I could do so much if I could just believe in me. That is like every talented, creative person capable of greatness in the entire world. Everybody can relate to that. And then you get to the end of the song and it's almost as if Weiss is like, you know what, Mirror, let me tell you something. I'm gonna change it all. Next up we have Divide, which I know is one that everybody's probably really familiar with. This song is pretty obviously Salem talking to Ozpin, as a lot of it is quoting her speech from the end of the volume. I really like this song. It's just as good as Sacrifice, or maybe even better than Sacrifice. It kind of gives you a sense of how bad Salem is and what she'll bring to the show as an antagonist. Basically, her plan is to sit back and let humanity tear each other apart and then burn down what's left. And the sad thing is, it's probably gonna work. Next on the album is Cold, which is Jeff Williams' tribute song for Monty. It's absolutely beautiful and I cannot listen to it without tearing up. There is something so sad about hearing Casey sing about what Monty brought to their lives. I can always make it through the song without crying until I get to this line. The light you gave to guide me will never fade away, but moving forward never felt as hard as today. Again, I think all of us as fans of Monty and his work can really relate to that. And the strings in the second part of the song are absolutely beautiful. Then we have an acoustic version of Time to Say Goodbye. This version is gorgeous. I actually like it more than the original. Casey said on a panel that she actually started vocal lessons last year, and you can really tell on this album. It shows in her vocals that she's actually getting some professional instruction on how to control her voice. I love the piano and the strings in this version, and I love how soft the bridge is leading into the solo. I also like that they did the entire song and made it really nice and long, unlike what they did with This Will Be the Day acoustic, where they only did a section. Then we have the James Landino remix of It's My Turn, and I actually really like this. I think it's my favourite of his remixes. There's actually not a lot of the original song in it, but it takes it and turns it into something really different, which I like. Then we get to the score singles that Alex was telling me about on the album. Starting with Crow vs. Winter. They decided to make some of the score into singles on this album to make room for more of the score in the episodes, and this piece was one one that Jeff composed. You guys know how much I love this piece. This is my second favourite fight scene of the volume, only next to Velvet's fight scene. This piece is a gorgeous combination of Crow's theme and Winter's theme, and I actually noticed something interesting about the two. I learned from watching the Volume 3 commentaries that Crow's theme is actually an inverted version of Red Like Roses, RWBY's theme. If you listen to them, you can hear how similar they are. But then I also recently realised that Winter's theme is an inverted version of Mirror Mirror.
Tell me something. Tell me who's the loneliest of all.
Then the next one on the list is Team RWBY versus Team Funky. This is another Jeff Williams piece. And as I said before, it includes the jazzier version of Neon, and it also includes the jazz renditions of This'll Be the Day and I Burn. Everybody loved this track when this chapter came out, and it's one of my favourites of the show. I'm not really a jazz person, but I really love what Jeff did with these jazz remixes. And I may need to film the rest of this video tomorrow because my light has vanished. Yay, winter. It's sunny again. It's Tuesday now. I couldn't record yesterday because it was way too overcast. Damn you, winter. Anyway, where was I? This has been a weird video. Apparently I'm up to Sun vs. Indigo. So this was another score single on the album, and I really liked this one when I first heard it in chapter 2. Now, Alex Abraham was responsible for this piece, and I know he's watching this right now. And Alex, we both know that you wrote this piece with Pirates of the Caribbean in mind. This is such a great piece. It's so piratey and fun, but still feminine. It's really appropriate to both Team Sun and Team Indigo because it's like the boys versus the girls. It's really different to anything we've heard on the show before, and I really like it. Next up we have the When It Falls arrangement by the Videri String Quartet. Now, as far as I'm aware, the Videri String Quartet made covers of RWBY songs, and from that I believe Jeff Williams asked them to come and do a piece for Volume 3. And this of course is what was playing at the beginning of chapter 10? Yeah, Battle of Beacon. And what a way to start out the episode, like all the crap has just gone down, there's Grimm everywhere, Blake and Wise are freaking out, don't know what to do. And there's ominous When It Falls piano going in the background. Love it. It's a really beautiful rendition of When It Falls. It sort of transitions from the haunting piano into the sad cello at the end. Next up we have the 4 World of Remnant scores. I believe Alex Abraham did these ones as well. I really like the World of Remnants. I think they give us a good amount of detail to the World of Remnant, obviously. And they kind of fill in the blanks and ask some of those questions that everybody constantly asks. And these 4 scores are all great pieces and really soothing accompaniments to the World of Remnant videos. They kind of remind me of those old city building games like Stronghold and Black and White 2. The 4 Maidens one, which is the 4th one, was definitely my favourite. What a ray of sunshine in amongst all of the horror that was going on. So that's it for the main album. Now we go into the episodic scores. First up we have Chapter 1, Round 1. This chapter starts off with RWBY at Summer's grave, kind of recapping everything that's happened so far. And there's a really soft rendition of Red Like Roses playing, which sort of melds into All Our Days. It's a really sweet accompaniment to a really sweet scene. Next we hear the Vital Tournament music for the first time, which is quite a recurring motif in this volume. I really like the tournament music with the strong strings accompanied with the electric guitar. It kind of almost sounds like Ironwood's theme, but it never really gets there. It's sort of its own thing. And there's also this really cheery kind of peppy music accompanying the scene at the noodle bar, which I really like. Especially the bit when Nora starts freaking out. The music makes me giggle. Next up is Chapter 2, New Challenges. And first up in the chapter we have Juniper versus Bronze. There's a bit in here where Ren comes up and starts fighting... God, what's his name? Nolan Porfirio. And that bit that's playing there really reminds me of Dynasty Warriors, and I'm not quite sure why. This piece that's playing during this fight is quite long because the fight is quite long. It goes for about 3.5 minutes, I think. There's nothing overly special about this piece, but it is nice battle music. Then we get to hear Crow's theme for the first time, which really sets the tone for his character. I really like Crow's theme. I think it's probably one of my favorites. Then there's a little bit more Vital Festival Tournament tournament in there. And then we finish with hearing Winter's theme for the first time. I find it funny that both Crow and Winter's themes first appear in the same episode, really sort of foreshadowing the rivalry between the characters. Next up is Chapter 3, it's Brawl in the Family. Still cringe at the title. There's really quite a long bit of Crow's theme at the beginning that's sort of building the suspense towards the fight. We all knew the fight was coming, and I know we were all sitting there in our seats just itching to see it. They've got to drag it out. Then Crow versus Winter plays, and you already know how I feel about that piece. But then after that, we get to hear Ozpin's theme again for the first time in the volume, as we get the first bit of plot in this episode. I've always liked Ozpin's theme because it kind of sets him up as a really mysterious character, which he is. It's one of those themes that's a theme without you realizing that it's a theme. You know what I mean? And then to close out the episode, we have Cinder's theme again. Cinder's theme got a lot of attention this volume and last volume. I do like her theme, it's not my favourite, but I do like how dark it is and I really like the motif in it. Then we have Chapter 4, Lessons Learned. Musically, this chapter starts out with I'm the One, and then as Emerald and Coco move into the forest, it goes into this really creepy piece. And it reminds me a bit of Amnesia the Dark Descent with the pizzicato, or the string picking, for those of you not familiar with the term. This piece is really kind of saying Emerald's a nasty bitch that's not to be trifled with. The music during the scene with Weiss and Winter is really nice, there's a bit of mirror mirror in there, but there's a real different array of instruments in that piece. There's picking of something that I can't quite identify. Plus I can hear xylophones or glockenspiels in there as well. I always like it when they do something a little bit different with Mirror Mirror, like in No Breaks last volume. God damn, I loved that score. Then the next piece up we have Soaring Ninja Wins Total Annihilation. That's Gray, the voice of Roman, doing that voice, by the way, if you didn't know. Alex, this piece is amazing. It's one of my favorites of the volume. You should be really proud. It's really fighting game circa 1990s, which I love because it was like my childhood. Then after this, when Crow speaks to Yang and RWBY, there's a piano piece that starts playing. And at first it sounds really familiar, but it's not really anything I've heard before. And then it sort of moves into a piano rendition of Wings. And I really like that Wings is playing there while Crow kind of quotes Monty by saying never stop moving forward. It's a really nice accompaniment. Next on the list is Chapter 5, Never Miss a Beat. The music throughout this whole chapter was amazing. I've already talked about the jazzy version, so I won't talk about them. But at the beginning we have a little bit with Penny versus Sky and Russell. Again, not anything really special, just sort of in there to accompany the scene. More of Cinder's theme in the middle, and a little bit of Crow and Ozpin at the end there as they're having their conversation about Pyrrha. I don't know why I quoted conversation. Next is Chapter 6, Fall, and this is where the show starts getting really serious. And we can really hear that in the shift of tone in the score. First up we have Pyrrha telling the Four Maidens story, and this is where we first get that music box sound that's repeated later in a different context. And then as they're unloading all of this information onto us, we hear the Four Maiden theme for the first time. I just want to point out before I continue that when I call something someone's theme, like Raven's theme or Four Maiden theme, that's not necessarily their official names. I'm just calling it that because it's what I associate the music with. And this particular motif I associate with the Four Maiden because that's when it usually appears, when something's going on with the Four Maiden. At about the 3-minute mark, we can hear the motif of such arrogance that's repeated in Chapter 11. I think that this particular motif is associated with Amber specifically, but it's not really that clear. Going back to the tournament, we have Yang versus Mercury, which to accompany that is an awesome rock piece, which is the perfect accompaniment to this epic fight between two almost hand-to-hand combat users, just with a few shotguns thrown in there. And the I burn bit at the end there where Yang goes all Saiyan mode is wicked. And then it all goes to crap, and there's this little bit of I burn piano at the end, which is so perfect for the scene. Next chapter is Chapter 7, Beginning of the End. Most of this chapter was just creepy, ominous music with Cinder's theme tied in somehow. But in this, there is also the Cinder, Mercury, Emerald versus Amber fight, which has one of the best scores in the entire show. It's the Four Maiden theme gone epic Destroyer of the World mode, complete with electric guitar and a creepy choir. Love it. Next is chapter 8, Destiny. We get quite a long bit of From Shadows piano at the start, which we've heard quite a lot throughout the show. A little bit more of the Vital Festival tournament music. And then Raven's theme starts playing as Yang talks about seeing her. I really like Raven's theme. It's really soft but also mysterious at the same time. Then after that is that terribly sad scene with Pyrrha and John, accompanied by a really sad piano rendition of the Four Maiden theme. Again, so perfect for the scene. But I think my favourite piece in this episode was that guitar that starts playing when Ruby sees Mercury emerge out into the corridor. It's just like, oh shit. I'm gonna bleep that. And then that kind of transitions into the Vital Festival tournament music, and you're like, it's about to go down for real. Then we have chapter 9, PvP, which is a play on words for player versus player and Pyrrha versus Penny. How many puns can we squeeze into one episode title? This is the chapter where it all really starts to happen. The music is really creepy and suspenseful at the beginning, and then moves into this awesome electronic piece for the Pyrrha versus Penny fight that then morphs again into strings. Again, this piece is quite different from everything else we've heard in the show so far. There's a lot of experimentation going on with motifs and with music in this volume. It really gives every episode a very distinct feel. Then after Penny dies, everything gets real really quickly. I adore the creepy choir over Cinder's theme as she's talking on the loudspeaker. Honestly, I've had my fill of Cinder's theme. I'm not gonna really miss it. I'll be glad to have a volume off if we get the whole next volume off. Then we go into Threat Level 9, which is another Alex piece, and it's my second favourite piece in the Fall of Beacon. The strings that start at the beginning like dun 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 dun. It's like, it's about to go down. And then in the middle of it, when Neo sneaks onto one of the ships, there's a little bit of her theme in there that goes into a little bit of Roman's theme, and I really like that. We first hear Neo's theme in No Breaks last year, but I didn't actually realise that that was her theme until I heard it 2 more times in this volume. Next up is chapter 10, the chapter where it all starts, Battle of Beacon. There's a lot to say about these next 3 chapters, so I'll condense it as much as possible. That piece at the start when Ruby protects Pyrrha and all of the students work together to kill that Nevermore, it's so hopeful and so sad at the same time, and also really uplifting. I don't know how they do that. The piano and strings that played when Pyrrha said, "I'm so sorry," really had me tearing up bad. Then it all proceeds into this really epic little bit of bells playing Red Like Roses. And then we have the piece that plays during the Ironwood versus Alpha Beowulf fight. Freaking yes! I got a little bit sick of his theme in volume 2 because every time it played it sort of was the same thing, but god damn it rocks here. Then we get a sneaky little bit of Roman's theme. I missed his theme so much. There's some more When It Falls-esque strings playing as Ironwood is shot down. More Red Like Roses as Ruby shoots up on that locker. Another little sneaky bit of Roman. Some epic fighting music for the checkmate or monochrome fight, whatever you want to call it. Into more When It Falls strings. That little bit of From Shadows when Blake sees Adam. Some more Cinder, and then the dragon gets loose and it goes into big bad doom and gloom choir. The entire soundtrack in these last 3 chapters alone is just amazing. And next up is chapter 11, Heroes and Monsters. This was the chapter when all of us lost our effing minds. There's a little bit of music that plays when Ruby's fighting the Grim at the beginning. Then there's a sneaky little bit of Neo's theme as she takes that picture. And a sneaky little bit of Roman's as he looks at it. Then there's some From Shadows in the Blake versus Adam bit. There's lots of little bits of From Shadows in this episode as we keep going back to Blake and Adam. What I like about these bits is that they're all doing something slightly different with the theme. A lot of Blake's accompaniment on the show has just been that same From Shadows piano, so it's always nice to hear something a little bit different for her. There's a short piece as all of the students are fighting the paladins that has this nice electric guitar bit that transitions into piano right before Velvet starts unleashing her awesomeness and I May Fall starts playing. I really love the score accompaniment to Ruby versus Neo and Roman. The strings are awesome and so is the choir. In fact, the choir work was awesome just in these last 3 episodes. There's so much Roman theme in these 2 chapters. I feel like they were squeezing as much out of it as they possibly could because they knew it was about to be gone. And I'm really sad that it's gone on because he had one of my favorite themes. I might actually be sadder about Roman's theme than about Roman. There's a really epic little bit of Neo's theme into Roman's piano. Then there's a little bit after Neo goes flying off where RWBY says bet on that. And then back into that epic choir building right up to Roman's death moment. One of my favorite visual and musical moments in this entire volume, as RWBY jumps off that ship and is free falling through the air, there's what I think is a triangle playing that then goes into Red Like Roses to finalize. I love that moment where she's just falling through the air and there's that little then hold on to your guns because Ironwood is back and his theme is back with him. Then there's a little short-lived victory piece for the students defeating the paladins and a little bit of From Shadows tacked on the end of that as Yang and Weiss talk about RWBY and Blake. I'm getting confused with names. Then we finally go and take a look at what Pyrrha and Jean are up to, and the Full Maiden theme is playing in this scene as Pyrrha has to make her decision. I really enjoyed the Full Maiden motive, and they did put quite a lot of it in this volume, as much as they could, but I am gonna be sad that maybe it's not gonna be in there anymore. There's another Blake versus Adam bit of From Shadows, and I really love at the end of this small bit, again we hear the bells, this time playing From Shadows as we see Yang. Then this transitions back into Pyrrha and Amber, and to close out the episode, Such Arrogance plays. I talked a little bit about this piece in my review for the chapter, but this piece is my favorite piece of score in the whole show. I absolutely adore this. It is so beautiful and so dark and so haunting. Music boxes sound inherently creepy when placed with ominous strings, and I think that's what I like the most about this piece, is that it takes quite an innocent object like a music box and turns it into something really twisted. There's a little bit towards the end where From Shadow strings are playing right as we think Blake has just right as we think Adam has just executed Blake. This whole piece just, Alex, just, I could crap on about that for hours, but let's get to the finale. Chapter 12, End of the Beginning, starts off so good with that brief bit of Cinder versus Ozpin. I want more of this. It was so epic. There's a little bit of sad Raven's theme strings as RWBY sees Yang injured and without a right arm now. I find it really interesting how what I call Raven's theme seems to be associated a lot more with Yang this volume. I want to say that the reason I call it Raven's theme is because it played the first time we saw Raven. I don't necessarily know that it's associated with the character. This volume I'm kind of leaning towards more it's associated with Raven and Yang. Next is a terribly sad rendition of Jean and Pyrrha's theme as Pyrrha kisses Jean goodbye. Oh my god, this scene and this music broke my heart. Especially after he soars off and that little bit of piano at the end. Oh, I want to cry. There's Full Maiden theme again as Pyrrha lifts the elevator. And there's this really short but sad piece as Jean calls Weiss for help. Again, it was so short and yet it was so heartbreaking. Props to Miles for his vocal performance there, of course. Then we have the Cinder versus Pyrrha score. And this is the perfect combination of Cinder's theme and the Full Maiden theme. It was really epic, like beat to beat music. But again, one of my favorite parts of the entire score of the show is that choir bit at the end after Pyrrha has died and RWBY unleashes her power. It does kind of sound a bit like This Will Be the Day, but I'm not hearing the lyrics. I don't think the choir is actually saying anything, they're just singing the notes. But it gives me absolute chills every time I hear it. Then once all of the horrible stuff is over and done with, we get some nice quiet tracks. There's a bit of Red Like Roses that morphs into Crow's theme. And then there's that tiny bit of Red Like Roses piano at the end that is so sad. And again, yet so hopeful. I think that really reflects RWBY's emotions at the time. She's so sad that she's lost her academy and lost her friends, but she's hopeful that maybe this power means that she can help. And just in these like 5 notes, I think it is, that is reflected. There's more Raven's theme again as we see Yang, except this time it's a really sad piano rendition. Yang has been defeated. Then closing out the volume is this nice sort of string piece as we hear Jen Taylor talking about a smaller soul. The piece starts to sound almost hopeful, but then it's quickly not. And then it builds and builds until the moment we meet Salem for the first time. Then the credits roll and Divide starts playing, and we know that this is only the beginning of all the awful crap. All in all, the soundtrack this year has been absolutely phenomenal, fantastic, amazing, incredible. I don't have enough adjectives. Jeff, Alex, Steve, Casey, the whole team has outdone themselves. Even though the last 2 years of the show were relatively light and fluffy, the songs have always had a bit of a dark undertone. Now the show has gone down that sort of dark route. This soundtrack is not really hiding from the darkness, but there is still some really nice songs in there like It's My Turn, Neon, Not Fall in Love. All in all, I think this soundtrack feels really balanced. And the score just, the score. Amazing, amazing, amazing job by all. If I had to give this soundtrack a rating, I think I would rate it a 9 out of 10. I feel like it's not perfect. I don't think any album ever is perfect, but it is definitely up there with some of the best music I've ever heard. So I think it's thoroughly deserving of a high score. And so that was my review of the RWBY Volume 3 soundtrack. Really late, but it's here now. Thank you guys all for watching until the end. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, you can buy the RWBY Volume 3 soundtrack on iTunes right now, and there will be a hard copy coming out at some stage on the Rooster Teeth store, so make sure you check back often for a look at that. I'll also let you guys know when it comes out. Also, make sure you check out Alex Abraham's SoundCloud. I'll leave a link in the description because he's been uploading some of the RWBY tracks, which are really cool. So if you want to have a listen to them, pop over to his SoundCloud. I hope you enjoyed watching. Videos are here, social media is here. And subscribe by clicking that button up there. Also, I would really appreciate it if you would take a look at my Patreon page and consider pledging a small amount every month to help keep my channel going and growing. And I will see you guys in the next video I do, whatever that's gonna be. Bye! I got it stuck in my head. I was just watching RWBY again. Of course, right now, everybody wants to talk to me at the same time when I'm trying to film. Welcome to my RWBY Volume... Whoops. That was a really well-written to sit back and let humanity chair... Hello? Hello? I'm just in the middle of filming a video and I'm losing my light. Can I call you back in a minute? Yeah? I really like the song. And I really like that Wings is playing there while Crow kind of quotes. I can't say that.